Hey everybody, this is Cameron from Obnoxious and Anonymous, and welcome to the instant reaction to episode 9 of Twin Peaks. This is The Chair. My guest today is Hal. How are you, man?
Hey, I know, Cameron. Fuck you, Hal. I know.
Watch the language. Watch the language. I don't want to be cited again.
Right. It's just an episode 9 homage.
Exactly.
Homage to Diane.
This episode, of course, was written by Mark Frost and David Lynch and directed by David Lynch. Before we get into the episode itself, Hal received some news. I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, but in case Hal doesn't, or some of you guys don't, I just want to throw it out there. Episode 17 and 18 of this series will be not condensed, but put together as 1 2-hour film.
Right.
To end it. Did you know that? I didn't.
Yeah, they had announced that, I think, at some point. Or they announced the final date, so if you counted the episodes, the last 2 had to go together.
Right. Which is really interesting because, you know, series 1 began with a 2-hour pilot.
Right.
Then when season 2 closed, they put 2 episodes together and ended it that way as a 2-hour finale. Then Fire Walk With Me was, of course, 2 hours and some change. And then this series begins with 2 episodes put together as a 2-hour premiere. And now we're going to close it out. Lynch really likes these 2-hour blocks of Twin Peaks. And
it has to be that way. It has to be that way. I mean, 1 hour for the last episode would not be enough. We need that chunk.
Exactly. I almost wish that every episode that we get on these Sunday nights were 2-hour blocks.
I wish, yeah. 36 hours, I could deal with that, yeah.
But I'm kind of glad that tonight's wasn't 2 hours because there was a lot of information in this 1 hour.
Come on, Cameron, nothing happens in this show. What are you talking about? Nothing's happening.
Well, it's interesting because sometimes things like slow down for a bit and then they ramp up. And all of a sudden, like tonight's episode, you just get not a lot of downtime. It's just one thing after another of really great stuff happening. You know, and it was kind of like I was gonna say last week's episode, but episode 8 or part 8, got a light, as everyone loves your
got a light.
Yeah. But that episode took us into darkness, you know, black and white despair. There was a lot of good things that happened too, hopeful things like the whole scene with the giant or 7 question marks or fireman or whatever you want to call him, and Senorita Dido and the whole marble or the thing with Laura's face. But
yeah,
that episode for the most part was just very gloom and doom. I mean, we had a 13-minute atom bomb sequence, for goodness sake, right?
It was pretty grim.
You're right. So the episode ended with a young girl having a frog moth climbing into her mouth, and we hear presumably the white horse whinnying in the background. Yeah. So this episode felt like we're back into the light. Yeah,
right. A little relief.
Right. Well, it almost felt like we climbed out of that hole, and I mean, it just you felt it right away when the episode just began in like just stark bright daylight.
Yeah,
it was like
weird to see a doppelcoop in the daytime.
Exactly. But before that happened, though, Rancho Rosa tonight showed up in red and white, which I thought was interesting, especially since when the doppelganger is kind of walking up that dirt road, he comes across this red bandana, which of course indicates that he's, I guess, in a safe zone or something. And this is where Jennifer Jason Leigh has been holding up with Tim Roth. Is Tim Roth supposed to be her brother, or I don't even know what? I mean,
he seemed to be like, hey, kiss Coop, give him some sugar, baby.
Right, but it's interesting how we can't predict like when we hear an episode title what it's going to be about. We can't say like, oh, that's probably a reference to that, right? Because we're always wrong.
Everybody thought it was Linda's chair, the wheelchair or something. Yeah.
Well, it made sense, right? Because we got the tip off about the chair.
Yeah, but it's funny though, because when it gets to that point, you can feel it. It's like, okay, they're going to say it now. As soon
Right.
as she walked over to that chair, it's like, this is the chair. You can almost anticipate it.
Oh, completely. What I'm saying though is that we can't predict what the title's in reference to a lot of the times.
No.
But for some reason, we all kind of predicted that Tim Roth was going to be playing this other character that Jennifer Jason Leigh was going to meet up with the doppelganger with. When he mentions to her in the hotel to, go find Hutch and, I'll meet you there in a few days. It was like, oh, that's probably Tim Roth because we haven't seen him yet, and that makes sense. And he can play a scuzzy guy, and him and Jennifer Jason Leigh just came off the Hateful Eight together, so that kind of makes sense. And and then we were right.
Yeah,
so it's really peculiar because usually you can figure out like, oh, that episode title is going to be a reference to this or whatever. Not in this show, certainly not. At least my opinion.
Yeah, that's why people think the titles are spoilers. They're just little teasers. You can't really glean anything from them until the episode airs.
Exactly. So, all right. So then we cut to the FBI plane, and Gordon is there with Tammy, and Diane and Albert are asleep. And Colonel Davis calls, and of course there's that really funny thing where Gordon thinks that Colonel Davis is cussing at him, but he's saying buckhorn.
Buckhorn.
Right, exactly.
I like it when Tammy goes, keep it down. What?
Yeah. I gotta say though, Krista Bell, this episode, she's not as annoying as she has been in the past.
Right.
So she is getting better as the series goes on, which is great. She's not vamping it up like she was at the beginning of the series. Right. She actually seems like she's trying to give a good performance now.
Gordon's not leering at her anymore.
Well, he kind of leers at her later in the episode when he's standing there on the staircase, but we'll get to that. So, so Gordon kind of knows that they're going to have to shift the plane. They're not going to Philadelphia. They're going to have to go to Buckhorn, North Dakota, and Warden Murphy calls, which has to be an awkward call, to let him know that the doppelganger has escaped. And I agree with Gordon. Gordon's like how that happened?
Yeah, Coop's flown the coop.
Well, see, okay, I didn't like that too much.
You didn't like that line?
No, I'll tell you why. Because when he says, Cooper flew the coop. Yeah, Albert already said that line in season 2, episode 2, when he refers to Wyndham Earle. Where he's like, your former partner's flown the coop. Coop.
That's true.
So I was like, all right, we're recalling lines here. Yeah. Albert should have looked up and said, that's my line, but that didn't happen. Yeah. We got a couple other good moments. So doppelgangers with Hutch, and what is Jennifer Jason Leigh's name again? I can't even remember, but
I can't remember either.
Yeah, off the top of my head. And he texts somebody who we will later find out to be Diane.
Yeah.
And the line is around the dinner table, the conversation
is
lively. All right, well, that's interesting.
We'll try to have a lively conversation here around this.
Well, I find it interesting that Diane hasn't updated her cell phone number or changed it since that infamous night, whatever happened between those two.
Unless this has been, that sure is interesting. Because it seems like, that she's tied in with him or something, or that she, I don't know.
Yeah, because again, it makes us have to rethink what we were thinking about happened between them to begin with, because it might be something entirely different going on here.
Right? Is this all an act and they're in cahoots still?
There's that, or Albert had that confession he had to tell to Gordon about how he was working with Philip Jeffries and Cooper about this. So maybe there was some underground stuff she was helping him out with too, and that's another reason why she probably had to leave.
Wouldn't that be weird if only Gordon is totally in the dark and there's all this subterfuge going on behind his back?
Right. But much like the atom bomb right behind his back in the desk, everything's right there in his face.
Yeah.
But he's just not looking in the right direction.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on here. The doppelganger calls the guy from Winkies from Mulholland Drive. I can't remember his name. I keep forgetting. Calls the guy who hired Ike the Spike.
Yes.
Okay. And he says that he wants the assassination to happen basically ASAP.
And that's Dougie, right?
That has to be the Dougie situation, because right when he got the red, when that guy in a previous episode got the red thing that came across his monitor, that's when he made the call to Ike to kill the woman and Dougie.
Yes.
Okay. So then the doppelganger tells Hutch, played by Tim Roth, that he is going to kill Ward Murphy. So we have multiple assassination being planned right now.
Right.
Okay. So I always hated it when they always said in Twin Peaks, like, oh, well, we'll take care of this tomorrow. We'll take care of this in a couple days. And that wasn't something that happens in this episode as well, because a couple days usually means 2 episodes from now. And I don't want to wait 2 episodes from now. I want let's just get to the good stuff now. I know. It's good to wait. It's good to wait. Like Hannibal Lecter says, all good things to those who wait. But
we have 9 more hours, Cameron.
But if you told me I could watch the whole thing, the last 9 episodes tonight, I would.
I think I would too.
Okay, so
although it is fun to wait, it's fun to wait and dissect it and talk about it. It's a blast.
Oh, completely. All right, so then we go to a police station, and Dougie and Janie are sitting out there, and Bushnell, his boss, is in there talking with the police. And he's like talking about how Dougie had supposedly had a car accident a while ago, and there's been lingering effects. All right, so now this puts into context the idea of what Janie E was referring to about, oh, you're having one of your episodes again.
Yes.
Okay, so there was a car accident. Episode 2 let us know that James had a motorcycle accident.
Yes.
Right. I don't know if, obviously, I don't think the two are connected, but there's a lot of parallels that are just running through this whole series so far.
And Bushnell looks like he's ready to get back in the ring, flexing his fist.
I'm telling you, he might have to, take down Ike at some point. So the police come up with this file on Dougie, and they realize they don't have any information on him prior to 1997.
Right.
So the police think instantly witness relocation, having to do with the mob. But we all know, because Dougie's been manufactured.
Yes.
He's been created. So that makes sense. The police officer, played by is Dave, what's his name? Dave Keckner, I think. He decides he's going to get sort of what Dougie's fingerprints,
he's going to give him a new coffee cup so he can get the DNA and fingerprints from the one he has.
Exactly. And then this other officer comes in and tells them that they pulled the palm prints, or literally the palm off the gun, and it's Ike the Spike. And that's interesting that they know about him. Now, I don't know if you noticed this. I'm sure you did, because you're awesome, but there was a lot, and I say that with caps, a lot of Badalamenti music coming in this episode. Yeah. And this is where we first get it, when we find out about the palm print and Ike the Spike. That was really interesting, because there's key moments when this music is kicking in. Then we go out there to the lobby, and Dougie is looking at the American flag. His eyes are kind of watering up. We get the National Anthem playing.
I thought we were going to see Mike appear in the corner there for some reason from the Red Room. He always stares, and then Mike appears, but that didn't happen.
No, but we do get we get the outlet, the electrical outlet.
Yes.
So he's...
And the red shoes, what did that remind him of? I was thinking Audrey possibly, but that's more like saddle shoes. But, you know, those red shoes caught his eye too.
The red shoes catches a lot of people's eyes, my friend.
True.
But anyway, so he's got his coffee. He's looking at the flag. His eyes tearing up. He's looking at the electrical outlet. Man, he is a man out of time, out of place, out of space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel, and it's not just, I don't think it's just fan projecting. I do feel like there's more and more of Dale Cooper coming out as we're moving through this series.
Oh yeah. All that stuff is he's trying to make sense of it. Things are becoming familiar to Dougie.
Right.
Agent Cooper's trying to resurface.
So then we go to the motel where Ike is staying, and he calls in the fact that the assassination attempt didn't work, and the police show up to arrest him. And it's a really good scene. But what I noticed most of all is that the scene is underscored with the music from Fire Walk With Me when Chet Desmond is at the Deer Meadow Sheriff's Station.
Wow.
Like, it's, you know, there's no change to it. It's the exact music. And so I'm trying to figure out why is he using... I mean, we're going from one Badalamenti track to another Badalamenti track so close when Lynch hasn't been doing this at all this new series.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pulling the Fire Walk With Me music from the Deer Meadow scene when Chet first walks in and confronts the sheriff.
Interesting. I'm glad you're paying attention to those musical cues because they may add up to something.
Right. But what I'm saying, though, is that the Badalamenti music being pushed up against each other so much, that's why another reason why I think that we're getting closer to Cooper, because things are all of a sudden the music's starting to come back.
Yes.
Okay, so then we go to the sheriff's station and we have Lucy and Andy competing for furniture. This chair, I
thought that was sweet. I know that's one of the scenes that people will probably go, "Oh, get on with it," you know, with Andy and Lucy and stuff. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's slow, but it's a beautiful, it's a love thing, you know. Andy and Lucy are all about the love for each other, you know.
And the fact that he said, "Get the base chair," and then she switched it to his chair. Exactly,
it's a love thing, you know. They love each other.
So then we get this really odd scene of hearing Sylvia Horn, Ben's wife or estranged wife, we don't know, calling out to Johnny Horn.
Johnny, yeah.
And Johnny runs through like with the speed of the little boy from the above the convenience store.
Yeah.
Just flying everywhere through this house, and he like runs into the wall or something.
Smashes his head into a wall.
Just like his dad did.
Leland, yeah.
No, well, there's that, but also
Ben, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, Ben's head got thrown into the fireplace by Donna's other dad.
Who would have thought Johnny Horn would come back like that? That was really
right, but it's such a random, weird, out of place scene. But you know what else is a lot of random and weird? All the horns in this series, whether it be Richard Horn or a Jerry Horn scene, they're coming out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then they're over.
Yeah. What's the deal with Jerry's foot?
I don't know. We'll get to that in a minute. So now we come to one of the crucial scenes of this episode, and that is Bobby, Frank Truman, and Hawk go to see his mom,
Betty Briggs.
Yeah.
So great.
All right. So I thought I was getting nervous. I was getting nervous because I was thinking that we were going to get one of those classic Briggs family scenes where we're heading towards some information, and then all of a sudden, oh, that's classified. I can't tell you that.
But, right. I thought she was going to say that too.
Yeah. Luckily, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
She walks him over to Major Briggs' chair.
This is the chair.
This is the chair. So this is not Linda's chair. This is Major Briggs' chair. And there's like a hidden compartment, and she pulls out. It looks like some sort of like artillery like bullet or something like that, but it ends up housing a secret message. And then she tells Bobby, of course, you know, he told me all this information before you were on your path and that type of thing, and that your father never lost faith in you. And of course, we as hardcore Twin Peaks fans remember the scene at the big second season opener where Major Briggs tells Bobby about his dream he had of what he wants for his life, and I don't think that escaped Bobby either from thinking about that.
No, his beautiful vision of his son, and in the future, it came true, and that puts to rest the theory, that some people were saying, well, Bobby's still wrapped up in the drug trade somehow. That seems to put that to rest.
I hope so.
Yeah,
I really do hope so. Not that I think that he is, but I got a little nervous by that first scene with him and Frank Truman, so I want to make sure that.
But I think the Major is not going to be wrong, so I don't think he would have missed that.
No, so I got my fingers crossed. I want only the best for Bobby Briggs.
That's
but
right.
I'm just scared. I'm just scared to death. I'm going to find out that he's doing something with Deputy Chad on the side or something, or I hope he gets to bring down Deputy Chad. That's what I want to see.
That'd be good.
I want Deputy Chad curb stomped. So anyway, so then we go to the morgue, and
no smoking.
No smoking. But Gordon walks in and says, "This is the waiting room."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ooh, Black Lodge reference. Here we go."
Yeah.
That was great.
Mm-hmm.
Not only does Diane smoke, but she sits down with her legs just completely spread wide open, just what they call man spreading now, that I read about in subways. And what did I write down here?
You gotta love Diane.
Oh yeah, where they're saying there's no smoking. She's like, it's
a morgue.
It's an effing morgue.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, here's the thing that makes me a little nervous too, in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, we get the Bad Lamenti music. So she pulls out her phone, and now it's no longer blocked because it seemed to be blocked on the plane.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier in the episode, but now she's in the morgue waiting room, and it's working, but she gets the text around the dinner table. The conversation is lively. The music underneath, I believe, is Wyndham Earle's music.
Oh wow!
Which, who knows if that's a reference to anything, or if they just like that track or what? But it's one of his themes. I thought, well, that's interesting because now this is like the third time that they're playing the Bad Lamenti music, and it was just
now the fact that the call was blocked, was she trying to alert Bad Cooper on the plane when she found out they were going to go to North Dakota?
I don't know, because see, this doesn't make any.
Trying to call him, right? Maybe
I that would be really bizarre if she tried to do that right on an FBI plane.
Yeah,
but I mean, the way she talked to him in the interrogation room, it didn't sound like she was hoping he'd be out anytime soon. Right. Then the way she was like crying outside and Gordon comforted her didn't sound like she wanted him out anytime soon.
Unless it's all a big ruse, I don't know.
I don't think so.
I can't see that either. I don't know how they would work that.
No, I don't know.
Real.
I would be surprised if they go down that route. But
yeah,
we'll see. So we find out that Bill Hastings, Matthew Lillard's character from episode 1, remember him?
Sure we do.
He hasn't been back since, but
right.
He comes back tonight, and
with a vengeance.
They give him a nice long big scene there.
Yeah.
And he has this blog called The Search for the Zone blog.
Yes.
Now, for those that are interested, that blog is now live on the internet.
Yes.
On the interwebs.
On the interwebs.
That's probably the best way to describe it, because when you go to this website, it is from 1997.
And it's the searchforthezone.com, by the way.
Right, the searchforthezone.com, and it looks exactly like a website you would have seen in 1997.
Yes, it does.
Now, what's interesting is that his blog apparently was created right in 1997, the same year that Dougie was manufactured.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. Another thing that's really interesting, Hal, is it's amazing how these things get like all dropped on the same day.
Mm-hmm.
So at the bottom of this blog, if you go to the searchforthezone.com, and it says, you are visitor 3,106 since June 1st. That's fantastic. Says, welcome to the search for the zone. Here you will find writings, links, and other bits and pieces as we find the time and inclination to post them up. This site is a journal of my and my partner's fascination with multidimensional time travel, dark matter, the afterlife, etc. We are interested in a lot of things, but these are the main topics of discussion. Now, if you go to the bottom and you go past their donate section and their pick of the week, Yahoo, and all that type of thing, at the bottom, there are part of the illustrations on the site are 3 pine trees. There's a whole bunch. There's like clusters of 3 pine trees, and there's like little birds flying over them. Well, interesting enough, this morning I'm watching CBS Sunday Morning, right? Right. And they do a little story about a mystery author named Louise Penny, and she is an author out of Toronto. Oh no, I'm sorry, Quebec. And she writes a series of books, mystery books, that take place in a town called, was it Triple Pine or something like that? And she talks about how, and this would, Mark Frost's book, Secret History of Twin Peaks, how he would know this. And she talks about how back in the day during the, I don't know, one of the wars, American Revolution or something like that, soldiers would plant clusters of 3 pine trees so that other soldiers would know they were in a safe zone.
Search for the zone.
Right. Now, I know that CBS Sunday Morning didn't drop that in coordination with, Showtime and Twin Peaks, but it is interesting how that fact is dropped today on over there, and it ties in, just rather coincidentally, with Bill Hastings' blog, which is if you set up the 3 pines, you are in a safe zone. This is so fascinating. Completely fascinating. And I'm I think that Mark Frost knows that fact because he does all that historical research. And so to find it on Bill Hastings' blog right after seeing it on this other video from this morning, just completely fascinating.
And who is Heinrich Weigel? Did you see that on Bill Hastings' blog?
Yeah, it's really fascinating. The other thing that's interesting, it says the search for the zone is primarily maintained by Bill Hastings, like you said, with occasional contributions from Heinrich Weigel, which is, I bet you that's got to be a anagram or something. But it says site last updated November 2015. So that confirms that this new series takes place in 2015. Okay. Yeah. Good to know. All right. So one of the things that Hastings writes in the blog, and one of the last things is, we met the Major. Which when I heard that, goosebumps. Yeah. Fascinating. The coroner lets Gordon Cole know that they also found Dougie's ring, which is great because now Gordon and them are now have heard the words Dougie and Janie E. So that puts them on that path too. And of course, if they ever see the news footage of Dougie taking out Ike in that moment, then that will be another trigger. Like, oh, that's wait, Dougie, and that's Cooper. Now we got to go over here. They're on an epic journey.
Reroute the plane again.
Exactly. All right. So then we go to this just amazingly wild, weird, and out of nowhere sequence of Jerry Horn out in the woods trying to grab his foot, and then he finally grabs it and flips himself. What's going on with Jerry, man? He's having a lot of trouble.
And was that voice? Where was that voice coming from?
It sounded like the voice in that Freddie Jones uses in Wild at Heart.
Wild at Heart.
Yeah. Pigeons spread diseases and mess up the place. You see that?
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
His Donald Duck voice.
But he says, "I am not your foot. I am not your foot." That's weird.
Is Jerry just high still, or is something else going on? I'm betting the latter. Something else is going on.
Although I wouldn't put it past Lynch and Cross just to give us a gold shovel with this whole thing too, and just have it.
Jerry's
really,
just tripping.
He's just tripping because we're all.
He's been, as Albert said in the original series, been snacking on the local mushrooms again.
Exactly, that's funny. Okay, so then we cut to the sheriff's station. Beautiful shot of the
sun's shining.
Yeah, and we're getting the Laura Palmer theme playing too, or it was right around this area too. So again, another Badalamenti music cue. Deputy Chad, of course, is snacking in the conference room. Lucy's on her lunch break too. Everyone's just kind of.
Yeah, I'm not here. I'm eating my lunch.
Yeah, exactly. They go into the conference room, and of course, Chad has to leave with his food and it's long drawn out sequence. And I was just hoping that Hawk was going to trip him or something and do that classic from the original series. Gee, I'm so sorry. But no, it doesn't happen. They let Chad go on his merry way.
Why do they keep Chad around? It seems like nobody likes Chad.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so it's kind of a strange scene because they pull it out and the Sheriff Truman, that kind of artillery thing, and or it looks like it, and then Sheriff Truman's looking at it, and then Bobby's smiling. He's like, "What are you smiling about?" He's like, "Well, I know how to open it." You do? Okay, we gotta go back outside. It's like, here we go. Here we go. Back outside.
Lynch likes his slow pacing.
Does completely. So Bobby throws it once, and then there's this weird ringing sound.
Yeah.
Is that the same ringing sound that Ben and Beverly are hearing?
I wondered that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
That weird hum, that otherworldly hum.
Yeah. Josie's now showing up in this little thing too. So he throws it down again, and they open it up, and it has what looks like coordinates. It looks like it has the tattoo. From the lodge.
Yep.
There's the number 253.
Yep.
And there's 10, 1, 10, 2, or I don't know, something like that over there too. And of course we get kind of a cutout of what Major Briggs showed to Cooper in episode 2 of season 2 of where the Cooper.
Yeah, why is there now 2 Coopers instead of 3?
There are 3, but he cut it out so that it's only the 2.
But why? Why would he cut it out?
Because that thing could not hold that entire piece of paper that he showed Cooper.
I thought maybe it had something to do with there was 3 Coopers and now there's 2 or something, because of the one that went into the lodge and turned into the gold egg.
Yeah, but he wouldn't know at that point that that Dougie would have been.
I don't know. Major knows all.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm just trying to think of the timeline because he was dead at that point.
Yeah.
All right. So there's a reference to a Jackrabbit Palace. And of course, Bobby, talks about how he came up with this name. It was a place that him and his dad would do things together down there. But it's great though to know that Major Briggs is doing this kind of time travel stuff, right?
Yeah.
Or this alternate dimension jumping, because I'm telling you, we're gonna find out that he either had something to do with or was the person who put the diary entries in the bathroom stall.
Just to leave those clues.
Yeah. I don't believe it for 1 second that it's going to be Leland that had done that, because if he's leaving little paper trails of things from all over the time, right, then that just makes sense. Also, Twin Peaks Twitter page, the official Twitter page, had one of their little memes going around that said something like, are these pages really from Laura's diary? And and had Frank Truman's face on it. So, like
Ooh.
I said, I don't think they're from the diary because they don't match the same paper, the same size, anything. I really think that she wrote them on other pieces of paper, and Major Briggs has them.
Yeah, they don't even look torn out.
They're not torn out.
Yeah,
they're absolutely not. And when you do a side by side look at what she was writing in her diary in Fire Walk with Me versus the yellow paper they find, sorry, it's not the same paper. And don't think for a second that they were too lazy to find.
Yeah, that's too glaring to be a continuity error.
Right. Okay, so then Diane's outside smoking, and Gordon and Tammy come out, and there's this long sequence of Gordon just kind of like staring at Diane, and then Diane looks back at him, and almost subconsciously, I can't even say that word, subconsciously, he asks for a cigarette. Like he knows they're see. That's why I don't think that she's in on it with the doppelganger. I think she was trying to wordlessly communicate with him because nobody wants to talk in front of Tammy Preston.
Yeah, it seemed like they were having some sort of deeper connection, and then she handed him the smoke, and I go, oh, was it just that he was wanting to smoke and she picked up on that, or was there something deeper going on right before that?
Oh, I think so. I just think that they nobody wants to talk in front of the newbie.
Mm-hmm. She's not ready for the Blue Rose reveal just yet.
Well, that was the other thing when Gordon said to Diane, we need to go over to Buckhorn because of this, and and she's like, oh, the Blue Rose.
Yeah.
Interesting that Cooper would tell her about the Blue Rose when the Blue Rose isn't mentioned once in the entire original series.
Well, we never saw Diane in the original series either, so I'm sure there was a lot going on that we didn't see between Coop and Diane.
Yeah, but you would think that, maybe in one of Cooper or Albert's conversations, they would have said Blue Rose, but,
I know.
Now we're retrofitting everything so that Blue Rose is everywhere. But
I'm sure they wish they could have they could go back and retcon Blue Rose into the original series.
Yeah,
too.
I'm surprised they didn't pull a George Lucas and kind of overdub Blue Rose at one point in the Blu-ray set.
Right, exactly.
Right. I mean, like in that open, in the pilot, they wish when he says, give this to Albert and his team, don't go to Sam. Albert seems to have a little bit more on the ball. Whip Blue Rose cases.
With the Blue Rose cases, yeah.
Exactly. All right. So, all right. So then they go to the jail, and Tammy goes in there with Bill Hastings. And did you notice how many times she like sat forward on the table? She was just like, and I kept thinking like she's gonna like say something, but she was just kind of like getting closer. I don't know. It was weird. It was the only
because he kept looking to the side. I think she was just trying to keep him focused. Like lean in on him, like pay attention. I know,
but it was such an awkward camera position on her, not on him.
Yeah.
So that was bizarre. But he starts spilling out this story that in reality he should be not worrying about jail. He should be worrying about a mental institution.
Mm-hmm.
This idea
fruitcake, anyone?
Yeah, where he says, I basically went into this other dimension. I met the Major, and he was floating, and right. I was thinking, oh my goodness, we just saw the giant floating in the last episode, and then when we
saw Major floating in the in front of Cooper in the Black Lodge or the wherever he was, in space. Major Briggs was floating in space.
It was just his head, though.
Well, just his head, yeah.
Yeah.
He hadn't lost his head yet.
No. What did you think of Matthew Lillard's like long speech in this scene?
I thought it was really a hard monologue, and he did a great job. Great job.
Yeah.
Because that was some hard stuff to deliver, and make it convincing.
He's only in like 3 or 4 scenes so far in this new series, but every one you feel like he's like, I'm going to bring it, man.
Yeah, especially that Lynch dialogue, when he was talking about, we just want to go to the Bahamas and stuff, because it's funny and creepy at the same time, because he's losing it. But that dialogue to pull that off had a lot of levels going on there.
Yeah, completely. No, I thought it was great. And he is going to find his freedom pretty soon, though, because they all know he's innocent. I mean, when she threw down that picture and identify the major and circle it and sign it and date it, I mean, Gordon knows what's going on, especially when Hastings said Cooper. That was it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we find out a little bit more that that the doppelganger kind of roughed up Bill, right? And killed Ruth. And that it hasn't been some like long like love affair or something between the doppelganger and Phyllis, his wife, that this was like a recently new relationship that was forged. So we get more context into that, which is great. And then we go from that scene to the Great Northern Hotel, and then the next cut was the falls. So now we're back to like real time. Not that we were in the scene before, but a few episodes ago we went from the falls to a cut to the hotel, and it was so weird and so jolty in the edit that now we've reversed it. Now we're Hotel Falls again, which is the way it's always been in these series. So again, it feels like things are kind of all these things are coming to the surface. Gordon and them are kind of slowly piecing this thing together, and as they're piecing things together, the edits aren't as jolty as they were when things were all chaotic. Now they're kind of being more smoothed out. Yeah,
the off-kilter stuff is now normalizing.
Right. Fascinating. So we have Ben, Horn, and Beverly. They're still listening to the sound. Who knows what it is? I still want to think it's Josie, but that's me. And it looks like they're gonna kiss, and Ben Horn's gonna be up to his bad ways again, but he stops and says, "I can't do this."
Yeah, she wants to more than Ben. Ben's trying to restrain himself. She's the one that wants to initiate.
Right. And it seems like that he's still kind of the Ben that wants to do good, as opposed to
the Ben that won the Civil War for the South.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking at the end of the original series when Doc Hayward hits him into the fireplace, I thought he would come back as old Ben, just like when Nadine got hit with the sandbag, she came back as Nadine. So see what happens with that. Then we cut to outside the roadhouse, and we get the third time in this series, and the third time in 9 episodes, Hal, we get the same shot of the puddle with the person walking through it.
Yes.
I'm tired of that shot, Hal.
Yeah, I know. It's you don't like to see repetition in Twin Peaks like that.
Well, listen. I love the waterfall shots in the original series. I love the traffic light shots. Okay, those repeat a lot too. The trees blowing, those repeat a lot, but it's not the same foot going through a puddle.
Right. Yeah, establishing shots are fine, but yeah, that same foot in the puddle is a little bit too specific.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll get to something else in a second here. Then we get these 2 girls in a booth. I have no idea. I didn't catch in the credits who they are. It was going too fast. One's just got this nasty cabin fever type of rash going on under her armpit.
Yeah.
They mentioned penguins and zebras. Okay, that's black and white, both
black and white. Yeah,
interesting. And the band playing is that Au Revoir Simone or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it's the same band that played at the end of episode 4 or part 4. They're wearing the same clothes.
Well,
we all know
musicians don't have a big wardrobe when they're on that level playing the Roadhouse.
Yeah, all 3 of them.
It's their stage costumes.
Their stage costumes, but they're still that one with the wearing the black is still dancing back and forth. So no. We all know what happened. Lynch.
Where's the announcer with the pine cone mic though? Why wasn't he there?
Yeah. Look, we all know what happened, right? It's what I've been saying for a while, that Lynch shot a bunch of songs from different musicians over the course of a day or two, and that in post he decided which ones he was going to use. He may have had ideas for certain specific ones, like the Nine Inch Nails song or the Chromatics song that ended episode 2. But for the most part, I think he was just like, that one's good for this one. Maybe we'll move this. This band he must really like because he's used them twice.
Yeah.
And they're in the same outfits. Like, I wish he had like said, okay, if you're going to do a second song, change your clothes.
Exactly.
Because now we got a puddle with the same foot for the third time. And now we have the same band wearing the same clothes. That's driving me nuts.
Do you think there's a reason for that, where it's supposed to take place on the same evening?
You really think we're jumping back and forth in time this much?
I don't know.
If that happens, then it's genius.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what's happening at all.
Yeah.
Like, let's go back to that crucial night in episode 4 when they played. I was like, huh? I don't know. Very peculiar. And it kind of left a weird taste in my mouth, to be honest, at the end of the episode. Because, I mean, I loved the whole episode. But at the end, I was like, okay, here we are back at the Roadhouse. And here come the credits. And, oh, look, they got their second end credit song. Great. Now I got to wait till next week. It
did feel anticlimactic. And that the scene with the 2 girls seemed so random, you know, that you're just going, what?
I mean, it'll make sense overall, you know, I'm sure, but it's just, this episode was just firing on all cylinders that by the time we got to the ending, I was like, huh, that's it? Really? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because it was nice because the band started and then they cut to another scene. And I'm like, oh, good, they're not going to do the song. And then they cut back to the song. I'm like,
Right. But originally when they showed this guy on the stage, it wasn't the band that we got at the end.
Right.
It was some other
DJ guy.
Right. So I was like, okay, cool. This is a new thing. And then they brought back the other girls, and I was like, I like their song at the end of episode 4, but are we going to get like replays of other bands too, or is this going to be the odd band out?
Yeah.
Guess we'll find out. All right, Hal. So let's go to the chat if there's anybody there, because we are broadcasting tonight, everybody, from a kind of a secret link, and only those with the coordinates, Hal, could get in.
Right.
They had to. I sent everybody one of those little gold cylinder things, and they all had to break it numerous times
just to get the URL.
Exactly. So, you know, we do this kind of thing because even though we love people joining us in the chat, we want people primarily to watch these videos on the main channel page. So that's why I don't just broadcast it everywhere. I want to just the main channel, Hal. That's the one that I want people to like the videos on, share them, and subscribe to that channel. So
when's YouTube gonna lift your live ban, man? Come on.
I'm not holding my breath anymore. Yeah, there's other channels out there that curse left, right, and center, play copyrighted scenes and music all over the place, say the most horrible, sexist, most profane things about whatever you know topics, and I'm the one.
We have to protect the world from this channel.
Yes,
inappropriate content.
Exactly. Oh my lord. Niall says yes. This live feed is where the hipsters are at. All right, let's see what people are saying here. Let's see here. They're talking about the sheriff's station. It's not the same station, they're saying. It looks the same and has the same layout, except for the new back room. Well, Lucy's office has certainly gotten bigger.
Yeah.
You know, because you remember in the original series, like, I don't think it was that big. Maybe they knocked out the back wall or something, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, because Andy's sitting way behind her there. It's a lot deeper.
They're saying that maybe these diary pages are a third diary.
We've only got 9 hours left.
Yeah. Pineapple Squid says it's the Doppel diary. Let's see here. Yeah, Leonard says Hastings is talking to the only people who would believe him. That is true.
True.
Let's see. Niall says Diane loves Cooper. Maybe she would have done anything for him. I don't know. I mean, that look. I mean, we only saw the back of her head, but obviously the look she was giving Gordon scared him enough to have another cigarette.
At least one puff for old time's sake.
Exactly.
So funny too, knowing that David Lynch is a chain smoker. It's like, oh no, I can't.
Yeah. That DD Rez says the rash is probably from that drug that Red is distributing.
Yeah, sparkle drug or whatever, right?
Yeah,
the Chinese drug. Maybe Jerry got a hold of some of that, and that's why he's seeing weird visions.
Let's see. They say Ella is the name of the rash girl. Oh,
Ella.
Yeah, because I didn't see that in the credits. So good job, Cause. He writes, her friend is named Chloe, which is interesting because that's my wife's name.
Ella and Chloe.
At least Chloe didn't have the rash.
What was the title? Does somebody in the chat know the title of there was an Angelo Badalamenti song title in the credit that seemed to come out of nowhere. I can't remember what the title of the song was, though. That might be a clue to something, but now I can't remember it.
Right.
Should have written it down.
Okay, Cause says, okay, here's my biggest question of the night. Ike the Spike calls and leaves a message for JT to say he failed and he's taking a medical leave. Who is JT? Mr. Todd in Vegas is Duncan Todd.
JT.
I don't know.
Yet to be revealed, I suppose.
Probably.
or maybe. Oh wait, who's the guy in Vegas? Duncan Todd.
Duncan Todd.
Okay.
Confucius says he's calling Justin Timberlake.
I was just thinking that too, but I thought that would be too silly to say. I'm glad someone else did.
Luba says, I liked how we were tricked with the chairs that Lucy and Andy were choosing. She thought that they were going to say, this is the chair. And yeah, Wicked Scott says, it's cheers time for the Hateful Eight reunion. That's funny. And Scooby D's here in the chat. Good to see you.
Yeah.
And yeah, looks like that's about it. We don't have that many people in here tonight, so
it wasn't as bombastic an episode as last week. So,
well, people aren't watching it live because it's a hidden link.
Right, that's true too. Yeah.
But I will say. Oh, Leonard says, I hope the Fire Walk With Me music is the new soundtrack is on the new soundtrack since it wasn't on the Fire Walk With Me one. Interesting. Yeah, but I will say this though. I thought this episode ramped everything up again.
Oh yeah. It's all the puzzle pieces are definitely converging.
I mean, usually Lynch is gives us, some stuff and then some little stuff and then big stuff and then nothing and then little stuff. And this just seemed to be like, it almost seemed like when they did episode 7, it almost felt like that kind of just download of big information. And then we have that episode 8 in between, which of course is another type of download of big information.
Yeah.
So episode 8 is bookended by, I think, 2 very good episodes.
Well, next week, you know what the title is.
Laura is the one.
Yeah, that's going to be heavy.
Is it? Or do you think it's just going to be a throwaway title like all the other titles?
I don't know. Who do you think? Who do you think's going to say the line?
Well, I'm thinking they're going to have to show these diary entries to Bobby Briggs. Don't you? I mean, they're bringing him into their investigation. What's he going to do when he... I mean, I don't think he had any contact with Andy Blackburn.
No.
Aha. Yes. Not that they had contact. But I'm thinking that they're going to show him the diary entries. He's going to see the name Annie Blackburn. And then he's going to go tell Norma. And that's where the connection is going to happen. He might go through Shelley to get to Norma, but I think he's going to go and talk to Norma at the Double R. And that's when we're going to either have her say Annie, or she's going to say, who's Annie?
Right, because of Mark Frost's book, right?
Right. And maybe we'll determine whether they wrote her out of history on purpose or what.
Or Major Briggs's time warp somehow erased her from the current timeline. I don't know, the butterfly effect.
Well, that's the other thing is, if you watch enough time travel movies, and if you mess with enough, going back and forth in time, right? You're leaving. You are changing things, right?
Yes, right.
And I mean, that's one of the things about like all those movies where it's like, if you go back in time, you might mess things up in a way that just leaves things off kilter. Well, maybe, I mean, come on. Is there any other reason why you have people in the Double R diner just changing places all over the place in terms of tables and stools, and Shelley turns around and actually notices it? Now, if she didn't notice it, you could be like, okay, it's giant continuity error. All right, Lynch.
Well, some people say that she was reacting to where's what was his name, Lynch's son, yelling, "Where's Billy?" or whatever.
That's a pretty big coincidence, son.
But I mean, she did turn around and give that quizzical look right after he did that,
and right after everybody's flipped.
True.
So, I mean, it could be whatever you want it to mean.
Yeah.
But I want to see Bobby be told about the diary entries and have him talk to Norma about it.
That'd be a good scene.
I think we need a good scene with Peggy Lipton.
Yes.
We got a nice little moment with her and Shelley, but I want to see.
She's got to be done with her paperwork and get more into the action.
Well, that's that in that shot where she's was doing her paperwork. That was even a replayed scene,
right?
Or shot. I mean, not a whole scene, but you know what I mean. All right, let's finish up some last questions here. Zonit says, "What did you think of Bill Hastings writing 9/20 as the date?" And Truman says 10/2 is a couple days away. The story is being told non-linearly. Well, that's what we've been thinking, but it's hard to know. I'll tell you one thing that scares the heck out of me. I got contacted today by somebody saying, that woman's always screaming 119, 119.
Yeah.
And they said, well, we know that Lynch, he showed up in that 9/11 Truther movie a long time ago, Loose Change.
Yeah.
And the so maybe 119 is not 911, but like 9/11 or something like that. And the Lucky 7 insurance, with the 7 and the circle, is the same 7 and the circle that was used on the World Trade Center Tower 7.
Well, I hope they don't bring that into 9/11 conspiracy theories. That would be a drag.
But the World Trade Center Tower 7, using that logo for the Lucky 7 insurance.
Yeah.
That's interesting and strange and bizarre. So, okay. Let's see. KM Charlie says, sounded like Hastings mumbled 9/29 as he was writing, though. Yeah, Leonard says Bobby has got to be told about the diary entries, especially after tonight's events. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Voltaire says, oh, geez, I hope Lynch is not putting 9/11 truther stuff in this thing.
Exactly.
I don't think Frost would go along with that.
No, I don't either.
But I just think it just shows you that Lynch is pulling from all aspects of his entire creative life, pouring it into this one thing.
Yeah.
All All right, guys.
Well, the Maharishi's going to have to do an appearance somewhere.
Yeah, if we find out this whole series takes place in Agent Cooper's mind as he's doing transcendental meditation in the Black Lodge, that'd be an amazing way to end it. Reggie says, I could see Dr. Amp talking about some of these conspiracy theories.
That's true.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Dr. Jacoby in this series. Is that it? We're just going to leave him as Dr. Amp, or are they going to do something with him?
Who knows? I think they'll come. I think it'll all spin back around as we converge into Twin Peaks.
Right. Oh my. Don't say that in the chat. Yeah, well, Scooby D is saying yes, bring back Dr. Amp. So yeah, I agree with that. Let's bring back Jacoby. I want to see that. So, all right, Hal, we're gonna wrap this one up because I gotta tell you a funny tale. I was wearing this shirt today, directed by David Lynch shirts. Right. And I walk into this, and it was a convenience store too. So I walk into the convenience store, and the guy looks at my shirt and he goes, "Are you David Lynch?" And I go, "No, I'm directed by David Lynch." And he goes, "Who's David Lynch?" And I go, "He's a director." And he goes, what did he direct? And I go, "Well, a bunch of movies and Twin Peaks." He goes, "Oh, Twin Peaks. Yeah. And he goes, "Are you his friend?" And I go, "No, I wish." And he goes, "Well, I'll bet he's glad that you're wearing his t-shirt." I go, "Well, I hope so. That'd be great." He's got, "That'll be $6.84." But it's like a weird conversation I had. "Are you David Lynch?" "No." Well, Leonard says this whole series is going to end with Michael J. Anderson shaking a snow globe. That's fantastic.
Backwards.
All right, so Hal, your gut reactions after seeing this episode. What do you think overall of tonight's episode?
Oh man, it's so much fun to look forward to Sunday nights and as soon as it starts to be, when the trees blow and they're like Twin Peaks next, I'm just going, this is so beautiful. 25 years or 27 years later, however long, a new episode of Twin Peaks is on. I mean, it's just so exciting. I'm thrilled. I still can't believe it sometimes that, I'm going to sit down and there's a new episode of Twin Peaks on. Sometimes that just seems bizarre in and of itself. And I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I think that this was a fantastic episode up until I think the last 5 minutes. Yeah. I still liked it, but I got that silly shot of the puddle again, and then I got the same band again wearing the same clothes, and I was just like, oh, come on. Like, yeah. I know you shot this the same day, but can we mix it up a little bit? Can we
bring back Jean-Michel Renaud, man?
I don't know, just like maybe if you had them do different songs, just had them change their clothes, because it's just odd. And but if we are dealing with this back and forth days and time, okay, yeah. I can get on board with that.
Yeah, maybe that shoe in the puddle is the clue to let us know we're back there in that same time.
Exactly. It's kind of like Back to the Future. There's like they keep taking us back to November 5th, 1955, and yeah. I mean, that would make sense then if they're playing the same band then, because then that would say that because what's interesting about that, just real quick to riff off that, Gordon and Albert at the end of episode 4, Gordon says, "Do you know where she lives?" And Albert says, "I know where she drinks," right? Referring to Diane. Right. And then it cut to the Roadhouse. And then we got this band performance. I think their name is Au Revoir Simone or something like that. Okay. I know I'm totally mispronouncing it, but anyway.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. But there's no scene in that Roadhouse moment. It's just the music and the credits roll. Right? Mm-hmm. So maybe this scene takes place on that night.
Yeah.
And if that's true, I'm totally on board.
Yeah.
And maybe the same band playing with the same clothes is not just the, technical error because they're just, using footage of that band from their second song, but maybe it's also a way of, I don't know, just kind of I'm trying to think of the words. My brain is getting fried.
It doesn't seem like Lynch is lazy and sloppy like that.
No, and that's what I'm saying. Like it has to do with that. When we're talking about the Double R Diner and the extras flipping around, like maybe this is another thing of suggesting to us that time is a little screwy here. And if that's what's going on, I'm all on board. I'm 125% on board, and I take back any criticism I say about the last 5 minutes. Okay? That's
why we can't really judge anything until episode 18 airs.
But I can go by my initial feelings right now.
Yes.
Is if it's not that, if it's just I'm replaying the same puddle shot over and over again, I'm getting a little tired of it. But if they go back and they show us, no, that's what it is. It is we're going back to this night. Then sign me up, Hal. I'm all on board, and I don't care. Show me the puddle all night long.
When they used that foot in the puddle in one of the promos too, so maybe we are supposed to pay attention to that.
I sure hope you're right. I sure hope, because that would be, I would be so like thrilled by that.
Yeah.
You know, like the whole time you're sitting there going, "Oh my God, why are they doing this? This is such a mistake." And then you find out you're totally wrong. I would love it.
It's like that David Lynch meme that I saw tonight. They had a picture of him with these shades on, and it goes, "Yeah, I'm a genius, but I also like to slowly psychologically torture you."
All right. Well, on that note, let's end this podcast. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Really appreciate it. Make sure to like these videos and share them, and subscribe to this channel, the main channel, Obnoxious and Anonymous. Hal?
Yeah, hit that subscribe button and get Cameron to 3,000.
Yeah, well, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Slowly but surely, we are getting there.
Yeah.
So thank you, Hal. I really appreciate you joining me.
Good. Thanks for having me back, man. I always enjoy it.
And I hope your foot feels better soon.
Thank you. Yeah. It's a drag to be non-ambulatory, I'll tell you that.
For those of you who don't know, you just sprained it, right?
I sprained it really bad. Yeah, it's hard to walk. It sucks.
Wow. So I appreciate you sitting here for this long period of time.
That's all I can do, man.
All right, everybody. Well, if you need to reach me, you know where to find me. Check the show notes below. We will see you soon. Take it easy. Have a great night. And we'll see you on the watch along coming later this week. Take care.